Hello, welcome back to Asking Pastor Jen, the time where I do my best to answer your questions that you have about anything you want to ask, but usually anything that has to do with God or the Bible. But always happy to answer whatever questions you might have. And today's question comes from one of our teenagers, and it's a really good question. And I just want to put a little disclaimer right here that for parents of younger children, because this was a question asked by a teenager, does not mean that it's not important for your children to hear the answer to, but I'm going to ask you to be the one to choose if this is content that you feel like your child is ready to talk about, which is fine. It's up to you. All right, so the question today is basically, if I understand it correctly, that if someone like a police officer were to kill another person while in the line of duty or while doing their job, does that mean that they cannot go to heaven because they have killed a person? So first of all, I just want to address the part about like, how do we get to heaven? Like, are there any sins that could keep us from getting into heaven? And pretty much any sin, every sin keeps us from getting into heaven. There's any like lying, cheating, disobeying your parents, and any of those sins mean that we're not perfect and we can't be in heaven. The good news is that's why Jesus came, and why Jesus died on the cross and rose from the grave was for our sins. And in John 14:6, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And so when Jesus says, I am the way, it means there isn't like a map or a like checklist of things to do to get into heaven. The way to get into heaven is Jesus. Jesus is the way into heaven. So Jesus was perfect on our behalf, even though we couldn't be perfect. And so when we accept his gift of his perfection and his death on the cross and his resurrection, when we receive that, he is our way to be with God. He's the way that we have a relationship with God. Some people might go, oh, great, now I trust in Jesus. I can go do whatever I want. I can tell lies. I can cheat. I can, kill people, whatever. But that's not, you could, but that's not really a relationship with God. Like my husband, Chad, we've been married for 19 years, and I know that he loves me and he would forgive me and has forgiven me for things. But I don't want to go and purposely hurt him just because I can, just because I'm like, oh, well, Chad will forgive me if I lie to him about this thing, right? Well, it might be true, but I don't want to lie and hurt him because I love him. So when we trust in Jesus, that is the way that we have a relationship with God and go to be with God forever when we no longer live here on earth. And hopefully that doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect after we believe in Jesus. It doesn't mean like we'll never sin again. But hopefully it means that we're working on ourselves to like go, okay, well, I don't want to sin anymore. Like those are things I don't want to do because I love God and I have this beautiful relationship with him and he loves me so much that I don't want to do those terrible things. Now, there are people whose jobs, that part of their jobs end up being things that, like they might kill someone. And that's really, really unfortunate. And there are people who have killed other people on accident. It was not intended. That was not their intent. And who have, apologized for that. And asked for forgiveness. And then there are people who have killed others because of their job. And I don't know how they feel about it. I don't know them well enough to know that they've repented or how they feel about it. But it's not an easy discussion. It's unfortunate that those things happen, and it causes a lot of brokenness and sadness in this world. And I think the less there is of that, the better. But one of the things that Jesus came to do is to reconcile us, right? To heal those broken places. There's a story of Botham Jean, who was killed by a police officer whose name I'm blanking on right now. We talked about this story at youth camp. Geiger, Amanda Geiger, is that her name? Just making sure it stays. And she felt badly, and the family forgave her for killing Botham. And that was a story of reconciliation and of brokenness and reconciliation and healing that the world could use more of, because we can't escape brokenness, but we can be part of the healing. And if we can keep from committing things that hurt others and cause brokenness, then that's good too. But killing another person does not it does keep us from heaven, but because of Jesus made a way for us. No matter if we've killed someone or lied or stolen or gossiped about someone or whatever, Jesus made a way for us to be with God forever and to be forgiven. So I hope that answers your question. And parents, if you decide that this is content that's too mature for your children, I understand, but I hope this maybe gives you some ideas, and even just talking with your younger kids, that no matter what sin we commit, that Jesus made a way for all of us to be with him forever. So that's the good news. All right, I love you guys. Send in more questions if you have them. And if you have like a follow-up question to any of these, feel free to message me those as well. And you can always send questions to askpastorjen@gmail.com, and I'll do my best to answer them. All right, bye.